All right, well, we're going to have a little debate here about whether or not the government should be buying data on you instead of spying on you. Because why bother doing the spying when private companies can do it and the government can just buy the data? Target's buying information about you, shouldn't the government? I don't know. Think about it for a second. But first, I want to remind you that it has been 10 years since Edward Snowden brought us the revelation that our government was spying on us. In fact, it's almost been exactly 10 years because Edward Snowden's birthday is in late June. It was on his 30th birthday when he revealed all of this stuff and moved abroad and never to return. And so that happened in 2013, 10 years ago in June. So here we are. What have we learned? We've learned that the government is pretty unabashed. They never really apologized. They made some sort of perfunctory changes, like, yeah, we shouldn't have done that. We should have got warrants. We, went and just took what was there without really thinking about it. But now, it seems, we have a new revelation from a new document that's just been released. It is redacted, but it was written last year. And it's showing that the government doesn't have to spy on us anymore because they can just buy this data. According to a new report, it comes out from the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. The U.S. intelligence community is purchasing data on consumers to just get around the restrictions on spying for it. This report was unclassified recently. It is redacted, and I said new, I meant it's not that new. It was written last year. So this data, what we're talking about here is called CAI, or commercially available information. So I'm just going to refer to it from now on as CAI. Okay. It can reveal sensitive and intimate information about individuals. So this means that when companies track, let's say, your purchase history, your location data, your browser history, all of that stuff, and you're like, who's selling it? Well, we know, right, that we are giving up some control of our data when we sign up for certain apps. Even if we turn on the most minute security features, we're still being tracked. Most of us know this, right? This should come as a surprise to nobody. But we know that a lot of times these third parties use this data and sell it to other companies or share it with other companies or something like that. Now, it's supposed to be randomized, but the government has the ability to de-autonomize it, meaning they know, they can figure out who it's connected to.
You have the right to stay private and protect your personal data. Your personal data is being sold online by data brokers right now. If you don't have the time to go through each and every website that may or may not have any information on you, then try Delete Me. Delete Me will take care of removing your data from public databases and people's search sites. To do what we did to remove our data and get your personal information removed from the internet, go to joindeleteme.com/anonymous. We value privacy as we know how our personal data can be used against us. That's why we recommend Delete Me. Delete Me is giving 20% off to anyone who uses the code ANONYMOUS. Again, that's joindeleteme.com/anonymous. It's like having your own personal privacy assistant who takes care of all the hard work for you and protects your data.
Right. So why then would the government go and build expensive platforms, expensive software, go spying on you and then get called out like Edward Snowden did and have egg on their face when they can just buy it? Here's a little bit from that report. It talks about how CAI may be anonymized, but it is possible to de-anonymize and identify individuals, including U.S. persons. They say it's a resource available to the general public, including adversaries. So, if they don't buy it, then foreign governments could,
so
right?
Two wrongs make a right.
CAI also raises counterintelligence risk because other companies can buy it too. They can see what's in Joe Biden's Amazon cart, right? What's on his Peloton. Remember the time I told you I got a high five from Joe Biden on Peloton?
Yeah.
All of that stuff, right? They can see it. It also has increasingly important risks and implications for U.S. persons' privacy and civil liberties, as CAI can reveal sensitive and intimate information about individuals. Without proper control, CAI can be misused to cause substantial harm, embarrassment, and inconvenience to U.S. persons. So here's why this is a problem. It says because there is already case law that shows that acquisition of persistent location information concerning one person by law enforcement from communications providers is a Fourth Amendment search. that generally requires probable cause. So they can just collect data on you without probable cause when that is a violation of the Fourth Amendment. It says the same type of information on millions of Americans is openly for sale, though, to the general public. So here's the conundrum. If the general public can use it, right? If Target can buy up data in order to better target ads to you, which they do. We've seen them before, right? If you buy a pregnancy test, they then are gonna start to try to sell you baby stuff. If you've been in and around one area, they take location data, everything. So if companies can use it to sell to you, then should the government have the same rights to buy it? Well, here's some things that may, if you're like, well, it's out there, someone's selling it, the government would probably want it too, right? But this is our government we're talking about, so we're trusting them to use it for benevolent purposes.
Yeah.
And then also, this is your tax dollars being spent to spy and collect data on you, which you may say, okay, again, but if it's available for purchase, shouldn't the government have one too? If other countries can get it, if these think tanks can get it, if it's just out there. One of the problems pointed out in Nicole Perlroth's book, This Is How They Tell Me the World Ends, is that a lot of times when governments buy up these databases, they are buying them in duplicate. So let's say, this is the way it works for software bugs. So let's say there's a software bug that allows somebody to get into your email and read your email from now on. And the government becomes aware of this, what they call a 0-day. It's a software vulnerability. And they say, we want that. We want to own it. Either we're going to use it or we're going to own it so nobody else can use it. And they'll buy it. And so they buy a 0-day from a hacker. And maybe the FBI buys it, right? Because they think we should have this. And then they don't share it with other government agencies because it's classified. So then the CIA becomes aware of that and they buy the same 0-day. And then the NSA becomes aware of it and they buy the same 0-day. So what can and does, absolutely does happen, is that millions of your tax dollars are being spent to buy these duplicate software vulnerabilities for whatever reason, and they don't know. There's no way for us to really know how many duplicate 0-days have been purchased. So it's naive of us to think that multiple government agencies are not also buying up these CAI databases. Of course they are. And so if they are doing that, there's no protocol for doing it, there's no budget for doing it, they just do it, then most likely you are buying these databases multiple times. So those are some things to think about.
You, the taxpayer.
You, the taxpayer. If you're not American, maybe this is not your problem, but you can probably be pretty sure that if you live in the West, your government's doing this. I don't know about Eastern countries, but usually what the US does, the EU does. We talked about this recently, how pretty much everything flows through the United States. So these bills that give the government power to regulate all traffic on the internet would be for everybody, not just the United States.
Think about...
And we don't even need to use even more nefarious software. All we need to use is WhatsApp, right? I mean, the Pegasus software out of Israel that manages to go into everyone's phones. All they need is to use, if you have WhatsApp on your phone, they can send you a text message, or they can even send you a phone call from an unknown caller. If you answer it, that's all they need. And now they have total access of your phone. So if you have WhatsApp on your phone, never, ever, ever click on a link from somebody that you don't know, and don't answer the phone from an unknown caller if you have WhatsApp on your phone.
But I think that this is an interesting question, right? Should the government do it if everybody else is going to, right?
No, the answer is
what
no.
Senator Wyden is saying, this is a violation of the Fourth Amendment. Yeah. We absolutely cannot trust them to use this for benevolent purposes. And we need some sort of open source communication about it where it's not being purchased in duplicate. And we need to know how they're going to do it, why they're doing it, and what they're collecting.
I want to go back.
I don't think we're going to get that.
I want to go back to the Fourth Amendment piece and your law that you mentioned, which was like what, Carpenter versus the United States, whatever, that said this is illegal search and seizure. But under what circumstances would that come up? You'd have to file, it'd have to be a lawsuit, right? So Americans would have to file a lawsuit against Target, or you'd have to know about it first.
Yes.
Right? I mean, how do you know about it first to find out that it's a crime? And
well, not Target, the government, right? Like, why are you, the government, collecting my location data? It would have to...
the Restrict Act coming up, so they need all that information, because how are they going to know all your transactions? Like, they literally want to track every transaction, every phone call, everything, so that they can have your social credit score and they can shut you off if you don't do what they want. So it's like, and there's going to be all kinds of things in that bill, I'm sure, to protect corporations from being sued for giving them the information. because we've seen that with the vaccines and stuff.
Well, here's another question, though. If you're saying, no, this is illegal search and seizure, it's a violation of the Fourth Amendment, but who's to say then that an adversary doesn't buy this data and exploit it?